I'm Tara Bennett. I'm 27, I'm a photo model, and I have posed for more cameras than I can count. I have frozen in place under studio lights until my legs shook, smiled through backhanded compliments, and watched people zoom in on every flaw in my face at 400%. I've done the 4 a.m. call times, the unpaid exposure shoots, and the creepy comments just to build something that was mine. And yet, the cruelest thing anyone has ever said to me didn't come from the industry. It came from my own brother. Let's call him the prince. Because that's what he was in our house, the center of gravity, the one the world bent around, the one my parents bragged about like he personally invented electricity. This story really starts at our family's Labor Day picnic in Albies, Washington Park. I stood up in front of everyone, heart hammering in my chest, and announced that I had invested $10,000 of my own modeling money into the Prince's Dream, his antique store. I thought this would be the moment that finally changed everything. That they would see my heart, my effort, and the fact that I believed in him. Instead, he looked me dead in the eye, smirked, and said loud enough for every uncle, cousin, and neighbor to hear. "What's to be proud of, Tara? You just show off your body for a living." My parents laughed. Like it was a joke. Like I was the one being dramatic for flinching. And something inside me just snapped. I stared at him, my voice turning to ice. "You're right," I said. "But I can make your dreams disappear." His smirk flickered, just for a second. He had no idea how serious I was. Because what came next was him trying to ruin my reputation, me pulling the receipts, and an entire fashion event watching his mask fall off. If you've ever been the responsible one, the invisible one, the sibling who holds everyone up while getting kicked in the face, you're going to feel this. Before I rewind and show you everything, do me a quick favor. If you like stories about toxic families, karmic justice, and finally choosing yourself, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a comment if you've ever been the overlooked one. Okay. Let's go back to the beginning. I grew up in Albany in this small, slightly slanted house on a street where everybody knew everybody's business. The porch sagged a little. The mailbox leaned forward like it was tired of standing. The pipes in the bathroom rattled whenever someone took a shower. We weren't rich, but we weren't starving either. We were fine. But emotionally, that house was not fine. If you walked in on any given day, you'd see my dad in his recliner, half watching the news. Mom in the kitchen, stretching a meal to feed more people than it should. And my younger brother, the prince, stretched out on the couch like he owned the place, talking about his next big idea. From as far back as I can remember, the whole house tilted in his direction. He got the first slice of cake. He got the newest shoes. He got the bigger bedroom because he's a boy and needs space. I got responsibility. I remember being 8, sitting at the kitchen table, carefully coloring inside the lines on a school project I was weirdly proud of. Mom was on the phone with one of her friends. "Evan is so smart," she said, voice full of sugar. "He just understands things. I think he's going to do something big one day." I looked up, waiting. Maybe she'd say something about me, too. Silence. The prince was in the living room, playing video games, yelling at the screen. He'd broken his last controller by throwing it against the wall. Dad had replaced it the next week. When I accidentally broke a mug doing dishes. "Why weren't you more careful, Tara? It's not easy to replace things, you know." It was like that with everything. When I got good grades. Expected. When he passed a class he'd nearly failed. "See? We told you you could do it." At 11, I joined every club I could, yearbook, drama, student council. Not because I loved all of them, but because I'd overheard Mom telling someone. "Well, Tara's not as naturally gifted as Evan, but she's a hard worker." I figured if I worked hard enough, maybe I could close the gifted gap. Spoiler, I couldn't. When I hit 16, people started telling me I should model. At first, it was just random comments. "You're tall. You have the face for it. You photograph well." I brushed it off, but in secret, I started taking self-portraits with an old digital camera, setting it on counters and stacks of books, then running into frame before the timer went off. I'd put them on a cheap editing app, shifting the colors, smoothing the lighting. It was the only time I felt completely in control of how I looked. One day, when I was 18, my friend Maya dragged me to an open call at a small local agency. "This is dumb," I muttered, shifting in the waiting room chair. Shut up, she whispered back. You belong here more than half these people. They lined us up, had us walk, took digitals. I had no idea what I was doing. I just tried not to fall. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed. Agency email. We'd like to represent you. We see potential. I sat on my bed, staring at the screen, feeling my heart explode in my chest. Me. The girl who'd always been hardworking, not naturally talented. Someone saw potential. I practically flew down the stairs. Mom, Dad, I said, waving my phone. I got signed. An actual agency. They want to work with me. Mom was at the stove, stirring a pot. That's nice, she said. Just don't let them talk you into anything weird. Those people can be. You know. Dad didn't even mute the TV. Is this one of those fake scam things? He asked. They're not asking you for money, are they? Don't be naive. From the couch, the prince chuckled. So you're just gonna stand there and pose? He said. For a living? My face burned. It's more than that, I muttered. There's work, travel, crazy hours, staying in shape. He smirked. Must be nice, he said. Getting paid to be pretty while the rest of us do real work. Mom chuckled. Oh, Evan. Don't tease her. But she didn't say I was doing real work, too. She didn't say she was proud of me. That silence was loud. Enter Aunt Pamela. She's my mom's younger sister by nearly 10 years. They're technically from the same family, but emotionally, they're from different planets. Where Mom is soft-spoken and avoids conflict, Pamela is straight lines and sharp edges. She's the kind of woman who looks you in the eye and doesn't flinch. She started dropping by more often when I was in my late teens. Sometimes she'd bring soup. Sometimes she'd bring wine, which she totally didn't slip me when Mom wasn't looking. Sometimes she'd bring herself, which was honestly enough. One day, I sat at the kitchen table, sorting through a stack of comp cards and booking forms from the agency. I was exhausted from a weekend shoot that had me on my feet for 12 hours. Dad had asked, so did you make big money? And when I told him the rate, he'd snorted. For all that work? You'd make more at the warehouse. I didn't have the energy to explain how a portfolio builds over time. Pamela slid into the chair across from me. What's with the face? She asked, stirring her tea. I shrugged. Dad thinks my jobs are a waste of time, I said. He keeps asking when I'm going to get a real job. Pamela tilted her head. And what do you think? She asked. I stared at the comp card in my hand, my face in glossy print, smiling at nothing. I think I'm tired, I admitted. But I also think I'm finally good at something. And that scares me, because what if I lose it? She watched me for a moment, then reached over and flicked the edge of the card. You don't need their approval to shine, she said. You know that, right? I shrugged again, but my throat tightened. I mean it, she pressed. Your parents. They're locked into their own idea of what success looks like. It's always going to be a 9-to-5, a house, kids, whatever. They can't see your path yet. That doesn't mean it's not real. What about Evan? I asked, bitterness slipping through before I could stop it. He doesn't have a 9-to-5. He barely has a 1-to-3. But Dad calls him entrepreneurial. Pamela's mouth curved in a humorless smile. Your brother has 2 full-time jobs, she said dryly. Being coddled and doing the bare minimum. I snorted, surprised into a laugh. Her expression softened. Stop measuring your worth by how loudly they clap for him, she said. You're not invisible, Tara, even if they're too blind to see you. I didn't know it then, but that sentence would live in my head for years. By 24, I was working steadily. Runway for local designers. Catalog shoots. Occasional commercial gigs. Enough to pay my bills, save a little, and finally move out of my parents' house into a tiny apartment with mismatched furniture and a view of a brick wall. I was proud of that brick wall. The prince, on the other hand, was still living at home. He'd tried college. Dropped out. Tried a tech startup. Quit when he realized code didn't write itself. Tried flipping sneakers. Got bored. Each time, the story was the same. Dad, at least he's trying things. It's better than being stuck. Mom, he's just finding his path. Me, I literally found my path and you think it's a phase. Then came the antique store idea. He cornered me in the kitchen one night while I was home for dinner. "Listen," he said, eyes bright. "Vintage is huge. People will pay stupid money for old stuff. I've already found a little storefront that's dirt cheap. I just need to get inventory and fix up the place." I sipped my water. "How are you going to pay for it?" I asked. He shrugged. "Loans, maybe. I'm talking to Dad. He says if I can show him it's serious, he'll co-sign. But honestly, I could really use an investor. Someone who believes in me." He let that hang there. I thought about my savings account. The months I'd eaten instant noodles and turned down social plans to make rent. The campaigns I dragged myself through sick because rescheduling meant losing the job. $10,000. That's what I had safely tucked away. "Let me think about it," I said. He grinned and clapped me on the shoulder. "I knew you'd get it," he said. "You, of all people, know what it's like to chase a dream." It was manipulative, but it worked. Because underneath all my resentment was still that stupid little kid who'd wanted her family to be proud of her. I met him at a cafe downtown a week later. He showed up with a binder, an actual binder, filled with printouts. Projected sales. Sample profit margins. Photos of the storefront. Even a rough logo he'd doodled. "Look, I'm serious this time," he said, pushing it across the table. "I've run the numbers. I even talked to that guy who runs the bookshop on Maple. He says this type of niche store can do really well if it's marketed right." I flipped through the binder. It wasn't terrible. "So you need 10 grand? I asked. "10 to start," he said. "Then I'll reinvest the profits. I'm not asking for charity, okay? I want it to be an investment. I'll pay you back with interest. We'll write something up and everything." I chewed the inside of my cheek. 10,000 was a lot. But helping him could make me part of the story for once. "I'll do it," I said quietly. "I'll invest 10. His eyes widened. "Seriously?" he breathed. "Tara, that's okay, wow. You won't regret this." He stood and actually hugged me. It felt like being allowed into the family for the first time. We wrote up a basic agreement, had a friend of Pamela's glance it over just to make sure it wasn't completely stupid, then met with the landlord. My money went into making his place look good. Fresh paint. Refinished shelves. A small sign for the sidewalk. Some initial inventory he sourced from estate sales and online listings. I came by with my camera, snapping photos of the space for social media. We stood in that little shop one evening, dust motes floating in the late light. "This could really work," I said. He smiled, and for a second, he wasn't the prince. He was just my brother. "Thanks for believing in me," he said. Seriously. I clung to that. Maybe this time would be different. Labor Day at Washington Park was tradition. The red checkered tablecloths. The folding chairs that pinched your legs. The grill that always smoked too much, making your eyes water. The sound of kids shrieking over frisbees and footballs. Our family showed up in waves. Aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors who might as well have been relatives. I wore a simple summer dress and brought a salad no one would touch, because everyone always went straight for the burgers and chips. I spotted Pamela near the drink cooler and walked over. "You look tense," she said, passing me a bottle of water. "I'm going to say something later," I murmured. "About the store. About the investment." She studied my face. "Because you want them to know you helped?" she asked. "Because I want them to know I believe in him," I said. "And maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll see me differently if they see that I'm not just thinking about myself." She sighed. "Just remember what I said," she replied. "You don't need their applause to make your actions meaningful." I nodded, but we both knew I still wanted it. Hours passed in a blur of small talk and secondhand smoke. At some point, Uncle Rick clinked a plastic cup with a spoon. "All right, everybody," he shouted. "Let's share some good news. It's a holiday, after all." Announcements started. A cousin was pregnant. Someone got a promotion. Someone's kid made a soccer team. My heart climbed into my throat. This was it. Pamela caught my eye from across the group, giving me the smallest encouraging nod. I stood up, smoothing my dress with damp palms. Hey," I began. "I have something. Heads turned. Great. My favorite. I just wanted to say that I'm proud of Evan, I said, voice shaky but growing. He's opening his own antique store. And I believe in his dream enough that I've invested $10,000 to help him get started. There was a ripple of surprise. A few people murmured, "Wow, and that's generous." I felt my cheeks warm, but in a good way this time. This was it. This was the moment. Evan leaned back in his folding chair, one arm draped over the back, mouth curling into that smirk I'd seen 1,000 times. He looked me up and down and said, loud and clear, "What's to be proud of, Tara? You just show off your body for a living." Silence. Then, Dad's bark of laughter. Mom's soft giggle. "Oh, Evan," Mom said, waving it off. "You're terrible." "She knows you're just joking," Dad added, still grinning. "Don't you, Tara?" My face went hot so fast I thought I might pass out. I could feel eyes on me. Some amused. Some uncomfortable. Some pitying. In that moment, everything slowed down. I heard the prince's words, but underneath them, I heard all the other times. "You're so sensitive. It's just a joke. You know how he is. Why can't you just take it?" I saw Pamela stiffen, her jaw tightening. I saw Mom looking anywhere but at my face. I saw Dad waiting for me to laugh it off. I saw my brother basking in the glow of yet another moment where he got to be the funny one, the bold one, the star. Something inside me hardened. I looked right at him, my voice flat and icy. "You're right," I said. "But I can make your dreams disappear." His smirk faltered. "What?" he scoffed, trying to brush it off. "You gonna pout because I hurt your feelings?" Pamela stepped forward. "That's enough," she snapped. "Tara just stood up here and said she believed in you. You don't get to punch her in the face for it." Mom frowned. "Pamela, don't make a scene." "Someone has to," Pamela shot back. "Because you clearly won't." The tension was thick enough to chew. Everyone shifted, pretending to be interested in the food table. I felt my eyes burning but forced the tears back. I would not cry here, surrounded by plastic cutlery and judgment. I sat down slowly, my legs trembling. The rest of the picnic blurred. People went back to their conversations. Kids shrieked again. Burgers burned. My humiliation faded into something sharper. By the time we were folding up chairs, I had made a decision. I was done funding someone who spit in my face. The next morning, the house felt too quiet. Sunlight spilled across the dining table, hitting the laptop I'd set down like a spotlight. I sat there in an oversized hoodie, fingers hovering over the keyboard, heart pounding. All I had to do was log into my bank, click a few buttons, and the money would be back in my account. My phone lay face down beside me. I didn't want to see his name yet. I took a deep breath and typed in my password. The numbers popped up on the screen. Balance. Recent transactions. The $10,000 transfer to his business account. My chest tightened. It wasn't just money. It was every late-night job. Every early call time. Every time I'd gone hungry because the check hadn't cleared yet. Did I really want to take it back? A little voice in my head whispered, yes. Not because I wanted him to fail. Because I didn't want to bankroll my own disrespect. I clicked on the transfer. The options appeared. I selected reverse, withdraw to my personal account. The website asked, "Are you sure?" I stared at the screen. "I'm sure," I whispered, clicking confirm. A loading circle spun for a second that felt like an hour. Then, transfer complete. Something uncoiled inside me. I closed the laptop and pressed my palms flat on the table, feeling the wood under my fingers. I had just pulled the plug on his dream. Or at least, on my part of it. My phone buzzed. I didn't need to flip it over to know who it was. Eventually, I did. The prince. "You're so selfish, Tara. You're ruining everything I've worked for." Selfish. I almost laughed. I typed, then erased, 3 different angry paragraphs. Instead, I put the phone down and went to find the person who would tell me I wasn't crazy. I called Pamela. She answered on the first ring. "Hey," she said. "How's the air in Mount Stupid Ego?" I snorted, the tension in my chest loosening a little. "I pulled the money," I said. "All of it." "Good," she said instantly. You did the right thing. He called me selfish, I admitted. He said I'm ruining everything he's worked for. Everything he's worked for? She repeated, incredulous. Tara, you have been busting your ass for years. That money is your labor, not his entitlement. He spat on your support in front of everyone. You have no obligation to keep financing his fantasy. Her certainty poured over me like warm water. You really think it's okay? I asked, sounding younger than I wanted to. I think, she said slowly, that if anything, you waited too long. Later that day, I met up with Eric. We chose a corner table at a downtown cafe, the kind where everyone pretends to work on laptops while listening to everyone else's drama. Eric sat across from me, arms folded, listening as I recounted the picnic, the insult, the laughter, the withdrawal, the text. By the time I was done, his jaw was clenched. Okay, he said. First of all, they are completely enabling him. Like, Olympic-level enabling. Second, you are not the villain here. I fiddled with my cup. It feels wrong, I said. Like I turned off someone's life support. Whose heart was hooked up to the machine? He asked. His, or your bank account? I let out a shaky breath. I just wanted us to be a family, I admitted. I know, he said softly. But they've been a family without really including you for a long time. You've been orbiting them. This is you stepping out of their gravity. He took my hand briefly. Tara, you did the right thing. You gave him a chance. He used that chance to embarrass you. Pulling your money back is not revenge. It's consequences. For the first time, the word consequences felt fair. A couple of weeks slid by. I threw myself into work, castings, shoots, test sessions with photographers trying new ideas. Every time my phone lit up with the prince's name, I ignored it. One Tuesday evening, I was home in my pajamas, removing makeup after a long day on set, when my phone buzzed with a text from Brian, a fellow model. Brian. Hey, you okay? Just checking in. I'm hearing some weird stuff at the agency. My stomach tightened. Weird stuff. I called him. Hey, I said. What's going on? He hesitated. So, I was in the lobby earlier, he said slowly, and I overheard a couple of people talking about you. Saying you're unstable and money obsessed. That you pulled out of your brother's business and left him high and dry after promising you'd help. I closed my eyes. Who said that? I asked, already knowing. He sighed. They said they heard it from your brother, he confirmed. He was apparently here a few days ago. Said he wanted to warn people about you. Warn? He painted me as a threat. After we hung up, I opened social media. I didn't have to scroll far. The prince's post. Some people will do anything for money. Even stab family in the back. My blood boiled. I read the comments. You don't deserve that. Family can be so toxic sometimes. Hope you're okay, man. You're better off without people like that in your life. People I knew from town. People I'd grown up with. Some I barely knew, but who recognized our surname. He was playing the victim, and they were eating it up. I wanted to blast him in the comments. Tag him. Post screenshots of the contract, the transfer, the texts. But I stopped myself. Reacting in rage would just make me look exactly how he was painting me, unstable. If you were in my place, with your reputation on the line and your own brother lying about you online, would you confront him publicly? Or stay silent and gather proof? Seriously, tell me in the comments what you think he would do, because in that moment I felt completely torn between screaming and strategizing. I chose strategy. Then my phone buzzed with another message. Dad. Dad. Your brother's struggling, Tara. He's trying to raise funds to save his store. Why can't you just support him? There it was. The script I knew by heart. Be the bigger person. Help your brother. Family first. Family first. Unless it was me. I stared at the message, feeling my pulse in my ears. Then I did something I'd never done before. I didn't answer. Instead, I called Eric. He's dragging your name through the mud, Eric said, his voice tight. You can't just let him rewrite the story. But if I fire back, won't it just look messy? I asked. Like we're both just airing our dirty laundry? Difference is, Eric said, your laundry is the truth. His is fan fiction. A laugh escaped me, short and bitter. So what do? I asked. Receipts, he repeated. We find proof. Old messages, screenshots, anything that shows what really happened. If he insists on doing this publicly, we make sure people see the full picture. I paced my small living room, chewing on my thumbnail. Are we really those people? I asked quietly. Exposing family drama? We are when one of those family members is actively harming your career, Eric said. He went to your workplace, Tara. He's not just venting. He's targeting your livelihood. That's what made it click. This wasn't just about hurt feelings anymore. This was about survival. Okay, I said. Let's do it. We spent nights going through old texts. Messages where he'd hinted about squeezing me for more money. Inside jokes he'd sent about working the system. Screenshots of him bragging to friends. Tara will cave. She always does. She's loaded compared to us. She owes us. We didn't know exactly how we'd use them yet, but having them in one folder felt like loading bullets into a magazine. Then came the call from Pamela. I was curling my hair for a fashion event when my phone started buzzing on the counter. Aunt Pamela flashed on the screen. Hey, I answered, pinning the iron between my shoulder and ear. What's up? Her voice was tight. Where are you right now? She asked. Getting ready for that event at the downtown hotel, I said. Why? I was just there, she replied. In the lobby. I heard Evan talking to someone. He didn't see me. My stomach dropped. What did he say? I asked. I'll send you the recording, she said. I caught what I could. Just listen to it before you go inside tonight. And be careful. My chest constricted. Okay, I breathed. Thanks. A few seconds later, a voice memo popped up. I tapped it. Clinking glasses. Soft background chatter. Then, clear as day. Tara's going to regret crossing me, Evan's voice said. I'll make her look like a monster tonight. Another guy laughed nervously. Dude, isn't that a bit much? Relax, Evan said. Everyone already thinks she's high-strung. I'll just tell them what happened, spin it a bit. By the end of the night, they'll see what she's really like. The recording ended there. I stood in my tiny bathroom, curling iron going cold in my hand, staring at my reflection. That was his plan. To use this event as a stage. To tear me down, again, in public. Only this time, I had his confession in my pocket. I called Pamela back. I heard it, I said. I thought you should, she replied. You don't have to use it. But if he tries something, you'll have a way to show people who he really is. My hands shook, but not with fear. With adrenaline. Thanks, I said quietly. For always having my back. Always, she said. Now go knock them dead. Just not literally. Yet. I laughed, tension cracking enough for a smile. I finished my hair, put on my dress, slid my phone into my bag, and headed to the event. The downtown hotel lobby was a kaleidoscope of light and sound. Crystal chandeliers. Clacking heels. Murky jazz playing a little too loudly through hidden speakers. I checked in, pinned my number to the back of my dress, and started making my way towards the backstage area. People nodded as I passed. Hey, Tara. Love that dress. Glad you're here. I kept my smile polite, my insides coiled. I didn't know when he'd make his move. I just knew he would. I was 5 steps from the door marked models and staff only when I heard my name. Tara. I turned slowly. There he was. The prince. He was dressed like he belonged there, pressed shirt, tailored pants, hairstyled. He looked more like a guest than a guy whose store was failing. My throat went dry. His voice rose instantly, accidentally loud enough to bounce off the marble. Funny seeing you here, he said, forcing a laugh. If it weren't for you, I might have been busy running my store tonight instead of, well, begging for help. Several heads turned. A photographer nearby paused mid-conversation, eyes flicking between us. I inhaled. I didn't close your store, Evan, I said calmly. Your choices did. He widened his eyes and turned to the growing semicircle of onlookers. You hear that? He said. She actually believes that. My own sister, who ripped all the funding out from under me after promising she'd support me, wants to pretend she's innocent. Someone muttered, yikes. Tara, he said, his voice cracking just enough to sound emotional, you've always tried to ruin me. Ever since we were kids, you couldn't stand that Mom and Dad believed in me. And now? You've taken everything from me and you're still not satisfied. I could feel the eyes. The judgment hanging in the air. My chest tightened, but my spine stayed straight. I gave you a chance, I said, speaking clearly. I believed in your dream. You turned around and humiliated me in front of the entire family. You mocked my job, my life, and then you lied about me to my colleagues. You're doing it again right now. He snorted. It's not a lie if it's the truth, he said. You did pull the money. You did leave me high and dry. From the side, I heard someone whisper, is she really like that? Another, I heard she's crazy with money. He saw the doubt on their faces and doubled down. I came here tonight to try and talk to you in private, he lied, to ask you, again, to reconsider, because my business is drowning. And now you're turning this into a show. See what I mean? He asked the crowd. She's unstable. It's all about her. I felt a flash of white-hot rage. But on top of that, a strange calm. I reached into my bag. Okay, I said softly. You want a show? Let's give them one. I pulled out my phone and opened the recording. His smooth, confident mask flickered. Tara, put that away, he snapped. We're talking. No, I said. We're listening. I tapped play and held the phone at chest level. His voice boomed across the lobby. Tara is going to regret crossing me. I'll make her look like a monster tonight. The effect was immediate. The murmurs stopped. People froze. Someone farther back said, oh, damn. The recording continued. Relax. Everyone already thinks she's high-strung. I'll just tell them what happened, spin it a bit. By the end of the night, they'll see what she's really like. I let it play to the very last word, then paused the audio. Silence sat heavy around us. Evan's face had drained of color. That's out of context, he stammered. I was venting. It was a joke. You know I have a dark sense of humor. Mom always. A joke, I repeated. Like the one at the picnic? The one where you said I just show off my body after I invested 10 grand in your dream? He swallowed. Hard. I never asked you to. Yes, I said sharply. You did. Repeatedly. You said you needed someone who believed in you. I did. I put my money, my time, my skills, into your shop. And in return, you tried to destroy my reputation with the people I work with. I turned to look at the crowd, not pleading, just stating facts. He came to my agency, I said. Told people I was greedy. Unstable. That I sabotaged him for fun. He's been posting about me online. Tonight, he came here specifically to make me look like a monster. In his own words. More whispers. Wow. That's messed up. Using your own sister like that? Evan looked around, panicked. Guys, come on, he said, voice cracking. You know how siblings are. We fight. We say things. She's blowing this out of proportion. That recording, she probably edited it. Did you edit it? A woman in a black blazer asked me, eyebrow raised. I met her gaze. No, I said. My aunt recorded it. She sent it to me because she was worried. She wanted me to be prepared if he tried something. She was right. The woman's expression cooled as she turned back to him. You sound pretty clear in that audio, she said. It's hard to spin that. He looked at me, then at the crowd, then back again. For the first time in a long time, I saw it. He wasn't the prince anymore. He was just a guy who got caught. You're going to regret this, he hissed, voice low, trying one last time to grab the script. Maybe, I said. But not as much as you regret being recorded. I tucked my phone away. I'm done with your games, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I'm done funding them, I'm done being the villain in your story, and I'm done letting you use me as your excuse. Then I turned and walked backstage. My heart was racing, but it felt clean. Like I'd flushed poison out of my system. As I stepped behind the curtains, someone from the event staff leaned toward me. Good for you, she whispered. Seriously. For the first time in a long time, I believed it. The fallout was faster than I expected. Within days, the recording had made the rounds. Guests had shared it. Someone had posted it in a private local group. It leaked beyond that. My brother's "some people will do anything for money" post aged like milk. People started quietly unfollowing him. Some even commented, calling him out. "So was that spin you bragged about? You really tried to set your sister up? Not cool, man." At the same time, my own social circle tightened around me. Photographers messaged. "We saw what happened," they wrote. "We know how rumors work. We still want to work with you." Brands I'd already shot with emailed me, saying things like, "We value professionalism and integrity, and you've always shown both. Just wanted to say that." It didn't fix everything, but it kept my world from crumbling. The prince, though? His world started shrinking. People stopped visiting his store. Neighbors whispered. Friends distanced themselves. He started a crowdfunding campaign. Betrayed by those closest to me, I'm fighting to keep my dream alive. Anything helps. The old me would have felt guilty. The old me would have considered donating anonymously. This version of me? I saw it. I rolled my eyes. I closed the page. Pamela texted me a screenshot. "He's grasping at straws, Tara. Let him. He built this mess." The campaign barely scraped together a few $100s. Weeks later, I heard his store had closed for good. Lease terminated. Inventory sold off. Lights out. Did I celebrate? No. But I also didn't mourn. His downfall wasn't something I engineered. He was the one who chose to humiliate me, lie about me, and scheme publicly. The recording just made sure people finally saw it. A few months after the fashion event, I moved to Rochester. I found a small apartment overlooking the Genesee River. The first night there, I sat on the floor between unpacked boxes, eating takeout straight from the carton, watching the water move beyond my window. It felt like exhaling after holding my breath for years. I rebuilt my life there, piece by piece. Freelance modeling. Creative consulting. Helping brands define their look and feel. It was weird, at first, to be somewhere my last name didn't immediately connect me to that antique shop family or Evan's sister. Here, I was just me. Pamela came to visit, lugging a giant bag of snacks and swearing the stairs were an assault on her hamstrings. We sat on my second-hand couch, looking around at the half-decorated space. "You did this," she said, gesturing around. "All of this. On your own." "For once," I said, half joking. "For always," she corrected. "They just refused to see it." Mom started calling more, too. Less often to talk about Evan, more often about me. "How are your projects going?" she'd ask. "Pamela says you're helping with the lookbook. Those photos you sent were beautiful." It wasn't a full apology. But it was something. Pamela and Mom launched a small boutique fashion line together, handmade pieces, limited runs. They asked me to help with branding and visuals. I agreed. Not for Mom. For me. Because it felt good to create something rooted in mutual respect. Those late nights sketching designs, planning shoots, and laughing with Pamela in my little apartment felt more like family than most of my childhood did. One quiet afternoon, I sat by the river with a notebook, jotting ideas for a future campaign. The sun reflected off the water in jagged stripes. Kids rode bikes down the path. Someone walked a dog that looked like a tiny cloud. My phone buzzed. I glanced down. Evan. For a second, my thumb hovered over the screen. The preview showed only. "Tara, we need to talk." Old habits tugged at me. The part of me that used to rush to fix everything. The one that thought maybe this time he'd apologize. Maybe this time he'd say thank you. Maybe this time he'd be different. But I looked at my life around me, the calm, the work I cared about, the relationships I'd nurtured that didn't revolve around guilt. I thought about the recording. The lies. The public performance of victimhood. The messages calling me selfish, unstable, nothing without them. And for the first time ever, I didn't feel torn. I felt sure. I clicked on his message. Then hit delete. No reply. No explanation. No new beginning. Just an ending. Not out of hatred. Not out of spite. Out of self-respect. If you're still listening at this point, there's something I want to say to you directly. Maybe you're the Tara in your family. The responsible one. The one who sends money. The one who drives everyone to appointments. The one who never causes trouble. The one they call when there's a crisis. But when it's your turn. When you need support. When you succeed. Silence. Minimizing. The joke that lands a little too hard. The you're being dramatic when you try to explain why it hurts. If that's you, hear this. You are allowed to stop. You're allowed to stop funding people who disrespect you. You're allowed to step back from people who only show up when they need something. You're allowed to say no, even to family. You're allowed to decide that being the bigger person doesn't mean letting yourself get stepped on over and over again. And if someone calls that selfish? Ask yourself. Are they upset because you're hurting them? Or because you're no longer letting them hurt you? My brother's store closing wasn't what healed me. The recording going around town wasn't what healed me. My parents finally seeing his behavior for what it was wasn't what healed me. What healed me was this. I stopped letting their version of me be the only one. I stopped accepting their script. I wrote my own. So to anyone listening who feels small in their own family, who feels like they have to earn basic respect with money, favors, or silence. You don't. Your worth isn't determined by how much you give, how much you endure, or how much you're willing to sacrifice to keep the peace. Your worth is yours. You win, not when they crumble, not when karma finally hits them. You win the second you choose yourself. If this reminded you of your own story, I want to hear it. Have you ever cut someone off, even family, for your own sanity? What was the last straw for you? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more long, messy, honest story times about boundaries, justice, and walking away from people who refuse to see you, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. I'm Tara. And I didn't win by destroying my brother. I won by finally choosing me.